I have lived here for 15 years. You are standing on Lawson Ranch. The woman stopped smiling. The guy frowned and stepped back a bit. I think there's been a misunderstanding, he said, raising his hands a little. We have the paperwork. We went through all the channels. I don't care about your paperwork, I said. You've been scammed, and you've set foot on stolen property. He looked shaken now. Hold on, man. We're not trying to step on any toes. This is just what our realtor told us. I swear we didn't mean any harm. You need to leave, I said, staring him down. But the movers, he started to say. I said, leave. He turned to his wife, who looked like she was about to cry. Get in the car, he muttered, then looked back at me. We'll make some calls. This has to be a mix-up. They drove off slowly, the moving truck following behind. I stood there for a long time after they left, the wind blowing softly through the fence I had worked so hard to build. I looked around at the land, my land, the vegetable beds, the horse paddock, the shed Mary and I built together, the memories, and now some faceless developer had sold it off like it was a parking lot at a strip mall. It wasn't a mix-up. It was theft. The next morning, Bill flew in from Montana with a duffel bag and a six-pack of ginger ale. We hugged like brothers, and he didn't waste a minute. We sat at my kitchen table with the paperwork spread out between us. He circled the fake signature. They're using a tactic called title washing, he said. Basically, they found a way to file fake ownership and move fast before anyone can notice. The county trusts the paperwork, so by the time you find out, they've already sold it. But they can't just take it, right? No. But they're counting on you not having the money or strength to fight back. That's how these things slip through the cracks. He tapped his pen against the folder. Good news is we have evidence. Photos, witnesses, and now false occupancy. He meant the couple. If they move in, he said, you'll need to file an injunction immediately. My heart pounded. What if they bring in construction crews? Bill leaned back. Then it's time to get the sheriff involved. For now, we agreed to wait, watch, gather, and document. We installed a couple of cameras around the property, just in case anyone tried anything sneaky. Bill called in a favor from a local judge, just to have our ducks in a row. 3 days passed quietly. Too quietly. No fines, no surveyors, no moving trucks. Just me, Bill, and Pepper keeping watch. Then, on the 4th morning, I walked out to check the mailbox and found a certified letter jammed inside. It was from Fairbrook Development Group. Inside it read, Dear Mr. Lawson, we regret to inform you that your continued occupation of Lot 27 constitutes trespassing on private property. You are hereby instructed to vacate the premises within 10 days or face legal action and forced removal. Sincerely, Fairbrook Legal Division. I laughed out loud, a bitter, hollow laugh. They're evicting me? I said, waving the letter in the air like a lunatic. Bill read it, scowled, and muttered something I can't repeat here. That's it, he said. They're not just bluffing now. They're threatening to use the courts to steal your home. I felt something twist inside me, like a rope pulling too tight. I hadn't cried in years, not since Mary died. But right then, I could feel it coming. Bill slapped his hand on the table. We're not letting this happen, Hank. I promise you. That night I couldn't sleep. I sat on the porch in the dark, listening to the sounds of the ranch. Crickets, the creak of the barn gate, Pepper snorting in her sleep, and then the low rumble of engines. Bright lights cut across the horizon, headlights, bouncing as they turned onto the gravel drive. 3 trucks, big ones, each one loaded with equipment. Bulldozers, excavators, construction crews, and they weren't slowing down. The roar of engines grew louder as the construction convoy barreled down my gravel drive like it was a damn parade. Their headlights lit up the cedar fence, the Lawson Ranch sign, and the patch of land where I had planted wildflowers just weeks earlier. I leapt off the porch, shotgun in hand, not loaded, just for the message, and ran down toward the gate. Bill was right behind me, barefoot, holding his phone and recording everything. The first truck came to a stop inches from the fence, its giant grill steaming in the morning chill. The driver hopped out like it was just another Tuesday, hard hat on, clipboard in hand. You can't be here, I shouted, standing my ground between him and the entrance. This is private land. He looked confused. We're here for the Redstone Meadows Phase 3 development. Got work orders to start clearing. Bill stepped forward. You got a name on that work order? The guy flipped through the clipboard. Says Lot 27. property of Fairbrook Development Group. Let me guess, Bill said. You didn't verify with the county? Not my job, man. We're just told where to dig. Well, here's your new job, I said. Turn around, or I'm calling the sheriff. One of the other drivers leaned out his window. Hey man, we've got permits. Legal ones. This ain't your land anymore. I held up my phone and pointed to the camera on the porch. Smile. You're on video. This is my land. And unless you want a trespassing charge, you'd better back it up. For a moment, they hesitated. Then the lead guy held up his hand to the others. Hold up. Let me make a call. He turned away and started speaking into his phone, walking toward the truck. Bill nudged me. We've got enough here to file for emergency relief. I'll go get the paperwork ready. But before Bill could head back inside, another car showed up. A black Escalade, sleek and shiny like a snake. It pulled up right next to the trucks, and out stepped a man in a tailored blue suit with a silver tie, clipboard under one arm and a cold smile on his face. He looked right at me as if I were a stubborn weed he meant to rip out. Mr. Lawson, I presume? Who's asking? I said. I'm Troy Whitaker. I represent Fairbrook Development Group. I'm here to resolve this situation. You want to resolve it? I said, stepping closer. Then tell your bulldozers to get the hell off my land. He didn't blink. You're in violation of several civil orders. You were served with an eviction letter. You've had time to vacate. This land is mine, I snapped. You bought it off a fake signature. You have no legal claim. I have recorded deeds, certified title, and HOA support, he said, holding up his folder. And you, sir, have until the end of this week to remove all personal property. Otherwise, demolition begins Monday. You try to tear down my house, and I'll be standing in front of that bulldozer. He smirked. You'd lose. Then he turned to the lead driver. Put a pin in it. We'll come back with court order in hand. And just like that, they left. One by one, the trucks rumbled back down the road. The Escalade was the last to go. Troy looked at me through the tinted window before driving off, his face still plastered with that smug smile. Bill and I stood in silence. You know what this means, he said. They're going to try and push it through fast. Then we push harder. The next 3 days were a blur. We filed a temporary restraining order at the courthouse, got it signed by a sympathetic judge, and slapped it onto every tree and fence post we could find. Bill had a friend at the local news station, and by Friday morning, a camera crew was on my porch, filming the story. They ate it up. Former trucker fights back against land grab by shady developer. That night, the segment aired. It wasn't national news, but it caught fire on social media. People started showing up, locals, ranchers, even some folks from town who just wanted to help. They brought coffee, cameras, drones. One old cowboy named Gus brought a literal folding chair and sat at my gate like he was on watch duty. The next day, something strange happened. I got a knock at the door. It was the young couple, the ones who had almost moved in. They looked exhausted, like they hadn't slept since the last time I saw them. Can we come in? The guy asked softly. I nodded and stepped aside. They sat at the kitchen table, hands clasped, eyes darting everywhere. We're so sorry, the woman whispered. We didn't know. We thought it was legit. We paid everything up front. Our life savings. I don't blame you, I said. They tricked you too. The guy pulled out a USB drive. These are our purchase docs. Signed contracts, emails, everything. Bill's eyes lit up. This could be the smoking gun. They gave it all to us, full access. And just like that, they switched sides. Whatever you need, the woman said. We'll testify. We just want to do what's right. It was the first bit of good news I'd had in weeks. I finally started to believe we might win this. That night, we gathered around a fire pit with some neighbors who'd shown up to support. We told stories, laughed a little, even sang a few old songs. I looked around and saw something I hadn't seen in a long time. Community, people who gave a damn. But just as I was settling into the warmth of it all, Bill got a call. His face changed. He stood up slowly, phone still to his ear. What is it? I asked. He put the phone down, his expression hard as stone. They filed a countermotion in Denver. They're trying to get an emergency override of our restraining order. My stomach dropped. When? Tomorrow morning. And then he said the part that made the blood drain from my face. If they get it, they can start tearing down your home by noon. The fire crackled, but its warmth didn't reach me anymore. Tearing down my home? By noon? Everything inside me went numb. I stared into the flames like maybe, somehow, they could burn the fear away. Around me, the small crowd of neighbors, ranchers, and friends fell into a hush, like they'd overheard the same thunder I just felt in my bones. Bill pulled me aside. "Listen, Hank, we're not out yet. That judge in Denver? I've been in his courtroom before. He plays fair, but we've got to be there in person with everything we've got." I nodded. "Then let's do it." "No, I mean we leave tonight. Right now. I'll drive." We packed up every document, photo, video, email, and statement into one old leather briefcase. The young couple, Kyle and Megan, gave us the last of their contract documents. Megan even printed screenshots from her email thread with Fairbrook's realtor. The one who said, "Lot 27 is vacant and available for immediate build." By midnight, we were on the road. Denver was a 4-hour drive in the dark. The whole way there, I stared out the window of Bill's truck, my mind racing through memories. Every board in the barn I'd hammered in myself. Every moment spent fixing pipes or wrangling cattle. Every memory of Mary planting sunflowers out front and laughing when Pepper knocked over her watering can. That land was more than land. It was her. It was home. We pulled into the courthouse just after 5 a.m. Bill got us coffee, and we sat in his truck until the doors opened. I was dead tired, but adrenaline had a way of keeping my heart pounding. At 8:30 sharp, we were sitting in a chilly courtroom with wood-paneled walls and a judge who looked like he hadn't smiled in a decade. Fairbrook's lawyer, that smug snake Troy Whitaker, stood at the opposite table, dressed like he was heading to a golf tournament. He barely glanced our way. The judge opened with a few procedural notes, then turned the floor to Fairbrook. Troy stood up, slick and smug. "Your Honor, we move for immediate override of the restraining order placed in La Plata County on the grounds that the subject property was legally purchased and recorded. The delay is costing our clients thousands of dollars per day." He spoke smoothly, like he wasn't trying to bulldoze someone's life. Bill stood up next, calm and collected. "Your Honor, my client, Mr. Lawson, has lived on this land for over 15 years. He holds the original deed. We have documented proof that the signature used in the sale to Fairbrook was forged. Furthermore, the so-called buyers of Lot 27, who nearly moved in, are here in this courtroom today to testify to the fraud." The judge raised an eyebrow. "You brought witnesses?" Kyle and Megan stood up from the pews in the back, nervous but brave. "I bought the land thinking it was part of a new development," Kyle said, "but I saw with my own eyes that it was a man's home. Fairbrook told us it was empty. They lied." Bill handed the judge the USB drive and printed documents. "All the evidence is here. Emails, contracts, forged signatures, mismatched survey maps. Fairbrook not only tried to claim this land, they fined my client $500 a day for refusing to surrender his own property." There was silence. Then the judge leaned back, looking through the papers. For a long time, no one spoke. Then he said, "Motion denied." Troy looked up, startled. Bill blinked. "Your Honor." The judge nodded. "Fairbrook's claim is inconsistent with documented ownership records and presents substantial evidence of fraud. This matter is now under judicial review. Until resolved, all development activities are to be suspended, and Mr. Lawson is to remain in full possession of the property." I felt my knees give. I sat down hard, breath shaky. We'd won. For now. Outside the courthouse, the sun was rising behind the mountains. For the first time in weeks, I felt like I could breathe again. But the fight wasn't over. That afternoon, back at the ranch, I pulled into the drive to find something waiting at the gate. A big crowd. Neighbors. Reporters. Locals who'd heard the story. And standing in front, arms crossed, was Sheriff Dalton. He tipped his hat as I got out of the truck. "Hank," he said, "we heard what happened. Folks around here? We've got your back." Behind him, the crowd cheered. Someone had set up a folding table with fresh-baked pies. Kids were holding homemade signs, "Keep Lawson Ranch free," and "NOTO greedy developers." I felt tears sting my eyes, but I swallowed them down. Then the sheriff handed me something. An envelope. "What's this?" I asked. He gave a tired sigh. "It's a notice. Fairbrook just filed an appeal. They're not done yet." The wind picked up, rustling the leaves around us. They were coming again. But this time, I wouldn't be alone.